the opponents are sort of pushing forward a number of myths. One of them is that what Obama's doing is any different from what Bush did. They're doing almost exactly the same thing. And the other thing is there's a myth that somehow that the military system is tougher and it can make people talk, and that the trials are tougher. And in fact, if you look at the record, it just doesn't stack up. It's actually not so.
Now, the part of the clip you didn't see there is right after she said that, my head blew up.
Yes, that
it
was
just like spontaneously combusted
yesterday.
from the neck up.
Yeah,
right there.
it's all right. Joining us from Washington, former speechwriter to President George W. Bush, Mark Thiessen. He's the author of the book Courting Disaster: How the CIA Kept America Safe and How Barack Obama is Inviting the Next Attack.
Mark,
not sure that's
you
fair.
just heard. Will you let the guy talk? My God!
Just saying.
My God, you Marxists, please.
We're socialists, we're not Marxists.
Okay, there's a
by
big
the way,
difference.
Joe, I don't read Karl Marx before I go to bed, so you got an ally here.
I got one guy finally. You watch, they're not going to let you finish the sentence. So let me ask you, Mark, you heard Jane Mayer yesterday say that, my gosh, there's no difference between reading somebody their Miranda rights and what the military did as far as performance goes. Why was Jane Mayer wrong yesterday, in your opinion?
Well, I think you pointed it out very well. Listen, Barack Obama has eliminated the CIA's interrogation program, which is the single most successful and important intelligence program we have in the war on terror and possibly in the history of the CIA. You know, if you got to think back to the period after 9/11, we didn't even know who hit us. We didn't know that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was the mastermind of 9/11 or the operational commander of al-Qaeda. And then we started rounding up these terrorists. We caught Abu Zubaydah. We caught Ramzi bin al-Shib and KSM. And these guys provided us information under questioning by the CIA that stopped a number of terrorist attacks. They were planning to blow up the U.S. consulate in Karachi, Pakistan. They were planning to blow up our Marine camp in Djibouti. They were well on their way to recruiting a cell of terrorists who were going to fly an airplane into Heathrow Airport and buildings in downtown London. And they were going to, and KSM had recruited a cell of Southeast Asian terrorists called the Garaba cell because he knew he'd be on the lookout for Arab men to fly an airplane into the Library Tower in Los Angeles, the tallest building in the West Coast. This program is why we did not have another 9/11 after the attack.
Lawrence O'Donnell.
It's just vital.
Well, you're lying about the West Coast thing. That's been covered very clearly. But you actually have, you as a former speechwriter in the White House, you took an oath of office when you took that job that you might or might not remember. You actually publish a book that says that the President of the United States, on its title, the President is inviting the next attack. Isn't it true that the president you worked for invited the first attack by having no idea what was going on with al-Qaeda? You just admitted that when you were hit on 9/11, you just said, we didn't know who hit us. You said we didn't know who hit us. You were told who was going to hit you before we were hit on 9/11, and your administration invited the first attack for which you should live in shame.
Lawrence,
go.
Listen, here's the record. When the Obama administration's approach, this law enforcement first approach, was working, the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, the bombing of the USS Cole, the bombing of our embassies in Karachi, and the 9/11 attacks. After the CIA, can I get a word?
Wait, let's stop.
After the CIA took over, no attacks, no attacks.
We're going to break right now. We're going to break right now. We'll be right back, and I'm going to be interviewing Mark by myself. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
So the meds, if you don't balance the meds just right,
well, that happened to me the other night.
Crazy Lawrence. Anyway, hey, welcome back. Thank God we pre-taped the show.
Yeah, because we don't.
Hey, we're now back with Mark Thiessen. Mark, very good to have you with us.
And Lawrence is still with us too.
Lawrence is with us too, but we're going to give. Now, this is the rule, because we don't yell on this show.
We don't.
By the way, Lawrence is going to be on Ed tonight.
You're doing the Ed show.
And he's going to.
The Democrats were against the filibuster.
By the way, Lawrence.
Warm up for Ed.
By the way, Lawrence, you said you wanted some psycho
Ed.
talk. You just run the clip of yourself tonight, and you got psycho.
Think about that.
So, Mark, a lot of things thrown at you before the break. We're going to let you talk. Mika's going to have a question. Lawrence is going to get 30 seconds at the end, and then you're going to have a 30-second response. Go, Mark.
Well, first of all, you know, alleging that the CIA program was the most effective intelligence program we've ever had. You don't have to take my word for it. Let me read you a quote from John Brennan, the Obama administration's top counterterrorism advisor, in an interview with Jane Mayer in 2007. She asked him whether enhanced interrogation techniques were necessary to keep America safe, and he replied, "Would the U.S. be handicapped if the CIA was not, in fact, able to carry out these types of detention and debriefing activities? I would say yes." So John Brennan, if you take his words for it, in 2007, Barack Obama has handicapped this country by eliminating the CIA's capability to question and interrogate senior terrorist leaders.
All right, but in fact, one of the inception of the conversation with Jane Mayer yesterday, and then it just went completely into the big picture, which brought you on the show today, Mark.
Sure.
Was one of the issues was the Christmas Day bomber, and
Sure.
you know, how he was handled. How is it different than the way other terrorists have been handled, and quite fine? Thank you, in previous administrations. Isn't this becoming a political football and being abused that way?
Well, first of all, the people who are making it political football are the Obama administration. These are the John Brennan goes out yesterday and says anyone who criticizes the idea that you would interrogate that you would read a terrorist his Miranda rights after 50 minutes and let him sit silent for 5 weeks is unpatriotic and is hating the cause of Al Qaeda. That is a shameful thing to say. So we're not questioning the patriotism of the Obama administration. We're questioning the wisdom of their policies. The reason we were caught blind on Christmas Day is because on his second day of office, Barack Obama eliminated our capability to capture, detain, and effectively interrogate terrorists. When I was writing this book,
let me stop you there. No, it is true. And this is something that yesterday I actually had somebody in the intelligence agency call me up and say, Joe, you were suggesting that we should have put the Christmas Day bomber into
how did Richard Reed
hold on.
How did Richard Reed do it?
You made us a promise. I'm going to ask you to sit in your
Richard
corner.
Reed. I just want those running on the
Richard Reed. I'll take on Richard Reed.
I have a point that I need to make that is an important point, and that is yesterday I asked Jane Mayer why we didn't put the Christmas Day bomber into the program. My intel source called me up and said, the program no longer exists. All we have now is the FBI capturing, reading them their Miranda rights. So this program, and Americans don't know it, this program that we're debating has been wiped out. We don't have choices anymore, do we?
You're absolutely right, and let me tell you why this is dangerous. You know, Mike Hayden, when I interviewed him for my book, Courting Disaster, he explained to me that intelligence is like putting together a puzzle, and you've got all the pieces laid out on the table in front of you, thousands of pieces. You know, intercepts of phone calls. A guy comes into the embassy and says, "My son's become a radical," and you've got to connect these pieces, but you're not allowed to look at the picture on the cover of the box. When you capture a terrorist like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and you question him, he's not just giving you more information. He's showing you the picture on the cover of the box. He's not giving you more intelligence. He's telling you how the intelligence pieces you have fit together. That is what we have lost in this country. We don't have the ability to see the picture on the cover of the box anymore because we're not capturing and interrogating the top leaders of Al Qaeda. And that is why we were caught blind on Christmas Day. It's very, very dangerous.
I'm going to kind of like tee it up for Lawrence again because I thought we were caught blind on September 11th, frankly.
Yeah,
and I guess that's kind of the
problem.
I'm going to do it with a little less vitriol here, but I think Lawrence's point is, hey, wait a second, before we go and point back,
it's almost, are you kidding me?
To the brilliance of the Bush defense system here. That was the asleep at the wheel moment.
I don't know.
That's where we lost thousands of lives. The point is that you're basically saying that we are less safe now and pointing backwards at the genius of the Bush administration.
But Donnie, we put this into place as a result of 9/11.
Exactly.
The system
there you
that
go,
stopped
Joe.
us from being attacked after 9/11. Wasn't that the idea?
Can I respond to what he said?
Yes,
Can I respond to what he said? We were caught blind on 9/11. You're absolutely right because we weren't capturing and interrogating these terrorists.
Caught blind. I got a problem with that.
We corrected course, and we set up a system where we could capture terrorists, find out what they knew. We didn't know who Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was even, and now the Obama administration has thrown that out and gone back to the pre-9/11 approach. If the fact that we made a mistake and we didn't stop 9/11 doesn't prove your point that we should go back to what we were doing that led to 9/11.
So here we go. Lawrence, you have 30
nervous.
seconds, and then Mark gets a response. Ready, go.
Okay. Mark, I'm wondering about your own personal experience with torture. I know you grew up in the richest zip code in America, in the Upper East Side. You went to the only boarding school in Connecticut that I know of that has a golf course, as well as two skating rinks.
Opposition research.
And then you went to Vassar, and of course, like all the torture mongers in the White House, the Cheney family included, you never served a day in the military, never considered
What does that prove? prove, Lawrence.
Well, I'm wondering, with that background, what is it that gives you an expertise on torture? What makes you love it so much?
First of all, one, it's not torture. Second of all, Jane Mayer said the other day, I never had a security clearance. So basically she said that she doesn't know what she's talking about. I had a security clearance. I was read into the CIA program. When President Bush wrote his speech and did a speech in September 2006 to reveal this program, I was taken into a secure room in the National Security Council. I was given access to all of the intelligence this program produced, and I actually met with the actual interrogators who interviewed Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and got the information to stop attacks.
You
so that's
did
my
very,
expertise.
you did yours in about 25 seconds. We're going to have you guys back for a full 3 hours. Mark, thank you so much. It was interesting. I've got to say, we don't usually do the crossfire thing here, but what can I say, Lawrence?
Ed needed, Lawrence needed something for Ed tonight.
You got it.
He got it.
We'll be right back. What did we learn today? Next.